I do think that a lot of these people in Washington, D.C. don't spend a lot of time thinking about these issues. There isn't a huge debate on where people's moral center is when it comes to national security or when it comes to international affairs or foreign policy. It's often like, okay, here's the starting point. Who's saying this and who's doing this? And then how can I squeeze myself somewhere in between? We have this concept of the sandwich. It's like a political speak in Washington. That's what a lot of the consultants will say to you. And it's like where you start with saying like, I survived war, and like something about the actual like policy that you want to grab, and then say, I don't really want to see these things, but sometimes bad things happen. Right? Like, so it's just like you didn't really say anything. But that's the safe way in which these people try to tell people to speak, because no one really wants to ever be on the full record.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I think about
Congressman Ilhan Omar in the building.
Hey.
It's an honor to have you in the building, in the flesh.
Glad to be here.
Yeah. What are you doing in Los Angeles?
Just visiting.
Oh, just chilling, just
coming to
visiting.
hang out with you.
Okay, that's a lie,
hope
because
that's
I know,
okay.
because I know you're hanging out with the Paw Johns as well.
Yes,
I've heard.
Yes, I did.
Because I was with them this morning.
That's what they told me.
Yeah, I was doing a piece with John Lovett.
Okay. Nice. I was with Tommy.
Yeah, because I'm getting attacked.
Yeah, he's so controversial.
Yeah, I'm getting attacked nonstop.
What did you do?
What have I mean, I've done the. It's just, you know how it is.
Yeah.
You know how it is.
You went to Cuba. How dare you?
Well, that's true. Apparently your daughter was there as well, but I did not see her because I was.
How can you be a good person and try to help people?
I know.
Yeah, it's a problem here.
It is messed up. I think a lot of people get very mad. I've begun to realize that it isn't even like ideological for a lot of people. For many it is. But for a lot of people, it's also just like, because they're not doing anything, when they see someone doing anything, anything at all, they go, oh, there's got to be a sinister purpose behind this, an ulterior motive, and I'm going to do my very best to disparage it.
Well, it's also really weird to say here in America we have freedom and then to limit people's ability to go freely where they want.
Yeah, well,
and advocate freely for what they want.
Stay in whichever hotel that they want to stay in.
That we force them to.
Yeah, I know, which was really interesting because like half of the people were like, "Oh, he chose to stay at this 5-star hotel to flex on the poor Cubans," and then the other half was like, "Oh, I bet he didn't stay in the government-sanctioned hotel that he was supposed to stay in. He should go to prison for 10 years," because that's what it is.
That doesn't really make any sense.
No, If you illegally,
yes, I know if you stay in the other, like an Airbnb or something like that.
Well, there's some Airbnbs, but if you stay in a hotel that isn't the 4 hotels in Havana that the American government has allowed you to stay in,
right,
you can go to prison for 10 years and pay fines up to $250,000.
That's wild.
That's insane, right?
How many Americans do you think know about that?
Well, because in order for us to even fly to Cuba, we had to get an OFAC clearance. Right. I feel like they probably tell people. I mean, I didn't do any of the paper. I mean, I did the paperwork, but I didn't look at all of the different details. Yeah, because it was organized.
You weren't really vacationing in Cuba. You were there to document the blockade and the death and devastation.
Also, here, let's bring this mic closer to you because
the death and devastation people were experiencing is what you were there to document and bring light to, what our government is doing. Yeah,
exactly. Which, a lot of people have been yelling about. Premier Jayapal also went recently. She's just trying to be like me.
Jonathan Jackson.
She's just trying to be like me. It's not a big deal. Whatever.
Actually went with Pramila maybe 2.5 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we were in Havana.
It's beautiful. It's definitely gotten, at least according to what Corbin was telling me, because he was there as well on our trip. And he was saying that it's gotten significantly worse over the years because what a lot of people don't know is that the oil embargo actually started in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't actually, it worsened in the last couple of months where Trump just came out and was like, Mexico and Canada are no longer allowed to send oil. No country is allowed to send oil to Cuba at all. But the secondary sanctions started in 2019,
Mm-hmm.
which were mysteriously never reversed because there was a president between.
That's true. We
who-
worked really hard to try to get him to reverse. But I mean that now I think people have to understand that the blockade is to the point of like,
Oh,
my God,
this is a special.
humanitarian catastrophe.
This is a special gift for you.
Okay.
It's a room temperature.
How
a
do
room-
you know?
It's a room temperature pure leaf iced tea.
Okay, this is like very, very embargoed information that I
I did my research.
Wow. Okay.
I did my research.
Did you call one of my kids?
What makes you say that?
Because I don't know even if my staff would give you this information.
specifically-
you have to
it's-
either like talk to my husband or my kids to
It's
get
specifically room temperature.
or secretly find who my best friends are. to know
Yeah,
this.
I don't know. I just
Oh my God.
This is like it's like Hot Ones. Sean Evans.
Now all of the Daily Mails and the New York Post are gonna try to get
They were like
who your
expensive.
sources are so
Yeah.
they can get more information on me. This
Yeah.
is dangerous.
What? I did my research ahead of time. What do you mean? I'm a little bit of a simp. It is what it is. Yeah, I had to pull a little bit of a Nardwuar. Do you know Nardwuar, the human serviette, the goofy Canadian guy who interviews all these musicians?
No.
He's very famous. He'll do like deep dives into the people that he's interviewing, and he'll be like, when you were in third grade, this is what happened. And then the person that he's interviewing will be
way.
like, oh my God. Yeah.
No, I didn't. I did not know that.
Yeah. Yeah. And then he always goes, you're, whatever, insert musician. I'm supposed to know. And yeah, you're Ilhan Omar. I'm supposed to know.
I don't
Yeah.
know if you're supposed to know.
Yeah. No.
This for me is not in the category of people know.
Okay. Well, now everybody now is in front of 32,000 people.
My goodness.
Okay. Well, in any case, what were we talking about? We were talking about devastation in Cuba and the Biden administration not really doing anything to reverse that. Speaking of Biden administration's refusal to reverse certain decisions,
Right.
Let's get right into it. Iran.
Yeah.
Obviously, I have my criticisms of Barack Obama, and I've been very forthcoming with that. But there were two signature accomplishments, foreign policy accomplishments of the Obama administration. One of them was the JCPOA,
Okay.
a multilateral agreement that brought in not only European allies but also China and Russia to control the Iranian uranium enrichment program in exchange for sanctions relief. And it was roundly criticized by even Democrats as well, including Chuck Schumer,
Right.
who was one of the main critics on the Democratic Party side. And Donald Trump ripped it apart.
What was the other policy accomplishment?
Well, the other
I'm
one
just
was
curious.
Cuba normalization.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, those were his like two foreign policy achievements that I thought were pretty good. I actually literally asked the Cubans
Yeah.
when I was there, like, what do you think about that? And they were like, we don't know why he did that. To this day, like, they're like, we don't know what motivated the Obama administration to come out of nowhere to be like, we're going to normalize relations with Cuba.
Yeah. I mean, I remember meeting artists and small business owners who were really proud of the fact that was done and really devastated
Yeah.
when the Biden administration didn't work to follow suit.
Yeah. Well, the last day when he was getting out of office, he released the sanctions on Cuba for one day, which was almost insult. I think more
than anything,
insulting than anything else. But in any case,
they were telling us for like a year and a half that it was going to happen this week. It was going to happen.
wait,
this
really?
Week. Yeah.
The Cuban one?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. The administration would tell us, this week. especially when we came back from Cuba. Before we went to Cuba, we actually went and we met Elizabeth Warren was also in that meeting, Chaya Paul, myself, Mark Bocan. We met with Jake Sullivan, and he told us that was something that they were seriously looking at, and they just kept saying, we're working on it, we're working on it, we're working on it. And it was really disheartening to see that work get done the day before, only for Trump to get rid of it.
Yeah, it is devastating.
Because even if he did it right after the election, it would have at least given the Cuban people, a couple of months.
But even then, it's what's frustrating about it is that, from what I understand, one of the main things the Cuban government needs is stability. Like the sanctions relief, if it's on borrowed time, is not going to lead to the stability necessary for them to rebuild their infrastructure and to allow there to be free commerce in the country. Because one thing that I was stressed about, one thing that was constantly reiterated to me is the idea that the Cuban government is not looking for handouts. I mean, they appreciate the humanitarian aid, but they just simply want to be able to exist as a sovereign country without, American sanctions terrorism, economic terrorism, and collective punishment. And it's virtually impossible for them to take out loans, for example, to establish any new projects,
to do any sort of trade,
or even reform their economy.
Yeah,
because there has been some conversations about economic reform internally within the party, and it's virtually impossible for them to adequately reform their economy.
They did actually do a huge package of economic reforms when Raul took over. Before this current
first name basis,
before this current administration, and this current administration, like, people were actually excited for it because they knew that there were these reforms. They were going to expand on these reforms, and you had when the Obama deal sort of happened, there was an influx of small business owners. There were a lot of really interesting restaurants that were stood up. There were a lot of artists that were ready to travel, to be able to share their music with the outside world. And when Trump came in and he put the sanctions back on and designated them as a country that supports terrorism,
state sponsor of terror,
a state sponsor of terrorism, that meant everything was gone.
Yeah,
right. You couldn't. It limited the number of tourists that could come in, and a huge part of their economy, because it is a beautiful country, relies on having tourism. There are they have a huge population that's very young, that's very energetic. So it put a damper on the kind of dreams that they were starting to foster. And now, even with this administration, you're seeing those sanctions expand with the complete oil embargo. And that means there isn't enough fuel that the Cuban people can actually utilize. But also, to me, what is even more heartbreaking is that we are limiting their ability to do good in the world.
Yeah.
Cubans export and train so many doctors and nurses that help countries with the poorest health infrastructure.
Yeah.
And we are saying to those countries, you can no longer take in Cuban doctors.
Yeah. Jamaica just released their Cuban medical mission. And I talked to the healthcare professional that's in charge of the medical missions. I'd interviewed him prior when Marco Rubio had first made this announcement a year ago. And he told me that 100% of coverage is offered by Cuban doctors and in areas of dire need in Jamaica. So a lot of people in Jamaica, especially in underserved areas, are just never going to see a doctor again.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the Caribbean nations are capitulating, right, to this demand by Trump and Rubio. Mexico is actually, I think, one of the few countries that are saying no, which is promising, because I don't think that it is. I don't think it is normal for the United States to make these kind of demands on these countries that really, desperately need the help and support that they can get in, strengthening their health infrastructure. But it's also, I think, just a severe level of bullying. When someone tells you who can come into your country to provide healthcare assistance. And yeah, it's wrong and disgusting in so many ways.
One of the things that I was so frustrated
also,
by,
my pediatrician when I was a kid was Cuba trained.
Oh, wow.
So a part of me always loved the fact that even in Somalia, as kids, we had a doctor that was trained in Cuba who provided excellent pediatric care to us.
Sick.
Yeah.
One of the things that I was very frustrated by is also the fact that, like, not only is the blockade invisible in many respects, I mean, it becomes very visible when you see the impact of it, right? The shortages, the rationing, the lack of medicine available in pharmacies because there's no gas to transport the medication.
Yeah.
And the refrigeration obviously needs electricity, and the grid falls apart with regular frequency, 30-hour long blackouts and whatnot.
Yeah.
But also the fact that, like, Americans are just totally oblivious to it.
Yeah.
And I think if we were to ask Americans by referendum, like, do you think it's appropriate for us to just, like, starve this country 90 miles off our coastline? They'd be like, no.
Yeah.
It's because it's so unbelievably cruel and so unnecessary, these arbitrary restrictions.
Yeah, and it's every time we've had a catastrophe happen here in the United States, they've always asked to help. They've always offered to send us help, and that just shows you the heart that the Cuban people have and their generosity and their desire to do good in the world.
Yeah, they offered 1,500 doctors after Katrina, and George W. Bush refused.
Yep, said no.
Yeah. And including, like, medical aid as well. It's so ridiculous. That's how much
you guys were there actually when the blackout happened that ended up killing like 98 people or something. Isra told me.
No, I think that number was incorrect. The Cuban Health Ministry then corrected the record. I'm not sure exactly what the number was, but there was definitely, there was a big blackout that took place while we were there.
Yeah.
And I mean, there were blackouts the entire time. Like, it's a much longer process than I thought. I grew up in Turkey. I'm used to blackouts. And then when I came to America, I forgot that blackouts happen all the time.
That is the thing, yeah.
Yeah, but the blackouts in Cuba were unlike anything else because even like the electricity in the city infrastructure would collapse.
Right.
So there were no traffic lights, no lights whatsoever, just pitch black darkness walking through the streets. And
so
then
possibly traffic accidents and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, there's not that many cars on the road anyway. But yeah, they're
but their resilience. Can we talk about their adaptability and resilience, though?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, you walk through these pitch black neighborhoods, these streets, and then you see a little light. Yeah. And there's just a bunch of people playing dominoes with like a phone light. Oh. And they're even I mentioned that, and people were like, "Oh, he's saying Cubans enjoy being in no electricity." It's like it's just, people are so ridiculous.
No. One of my friends has this one person play that she does in Minneapolis, and I think it's called like being a child in war playing with balloons. Because when you are in those kind of environments, I think like people who read about it or watch movies, all they think about is just the harshness of the situation. But the human capacity is just to find one joyful thing to do. Yeah. That keeps you light, even if bombs are dropping on you. And that's what her play is about, and it's a beautiful play. But like that's what I hear when you say that people are playing music or drumming or dancing or doing flips. It's just they're trying to find a way to entertain themselves because the pain is too much.
Portable speakers. They were blasting music from portable speakers everywhere. That was very interesting.
Did you see Niqab? Niqab was there.
Yeah, I brought them there.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know them.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm a fan.
When we were doing, they'll love to hear that.
Yeah.
When
I sort of met them and told them, and they recorded a little video for me.
Oh, hell yeah!
Really cool.
When we were planning this trip out with Progressive International, I was like, I was reaching out to a bunch of my friends, celebrities and the like, to see who would be down, and I was like, I know exactly who would definitely come.
Nice.
And I hit up their manager Daniel, who's a fascinating figure. He's actually was in the UN for Ireland for the longest time. He's done a bunch of stuff with the Palestinian girls team as well, where they came and did a exhibition match in Ireland. But I hit him up and I was like, yo, I think you guys would really enjoy, we're going to go to Cuba. I think this is like right up your alley. And he was like, bet.
Nice.
Immediately. He was like, yep, we're down. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, I know one of their quotes was solidarity is in the bones of the Irish people, and that's why we're here. Yeah, or something like that. Yeah,
it's absolutely true. Yeah. Irish people are, as I like to say, the coolest white people I ever met in my life.
My husband is of Irish heritage, so he'd love to hear that.
Irish Americans are a little different. Irish Americans.
Okay, you're taking it back. I see.
Yeah, Irish Americans are a little different. And the Irish folks would say that too.
Yeah,
some of them could be cool. Some of them could be cool, but they are way too Americanized for the most part.
Diaspora is always more ratchet than.
Oh no! Don't even get me started. I'm in hot water. One of the things that people are yelling at me, the RNC is just like, I've spoken for 21,000 hours on Twitch in front of the camera, literally 21,000 hours, right? So they're like finding choice clips out of context to be like, he's this, he's that. They're like claiming I'm basically everything that I'm not.
Right.
Obviously the common one is anti-Semitic. And a bit about that from your own personal experience for many, many years being one of the standalone figures that was resilient in her commitment to Palestinian sovereignty. And that's one of the things that people will constantly rip on me or constantly clip out of context is like whenever someone will be like Latinos for Trump or, there was like a Vietnamese for MAGA movement or something. And they'll clip it out of context when I'm like yelling at someone to be like, he's yelling at this Vietnamese lady, like he's racist towards the Vietnamese. It's like, no, I'm yelling at them because they're reactionary.
Right.
Like I'm yelling at them because they're trying to use standpoint epistemology to justify like Nazi politics.
Yeah, and is the Vietnamese person here in the U.S.?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But it is what it is. That's like one of the things that they're doing. I saw a lot of that with Iran too initially, when people from the diaspora would be like, no, you don't understand. America's going to liberate the country.
Yeah.
Many of them.
One of the first things they did was bomb a school full of children, little girls.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But what I was going to say is, as far as like not going back to the previous formation with the JCPOA under the Biden administration, what do you think that was about? Because like I haven't heard from a lot of prominent Democrats since Donald Trump came into office. I rarely ever hear, even in the first term, that the JCPOA was a positive thing. It was a move in the positive direction. And even now, when Democrats, from a partisan perspective, that might want to attack Donald Trump to be like, see, we did this better than you did. Like this has been a spectacular quagmire that you got us into alongside Israel. They rarely ever mention Barack Obama's JCPOA, even though Barack Obama is probably the most popular, Democrat alive right now.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
Well, I think his vice president and then president Joe Biden was against it.
Yeah.
And so the understanding after the Trump administration, when Biden got elected, was that he was going to do something different. And I don't know why we never got to what that different thing was, because nothing really happened that was structural in any kind of way that Democrats could rally around. So you still had the Pelosi's of the Democratic Party that kept holding on to the deal Obama reached with the Iranians, and then you had other Democrats like the Schumer wing of our party that was like, please, let's not talk about this because we don't want that deal. And so, you know, and one thing that also people don't often talk about is the MOU that got us the $3.8 billion guarantee yearly to Israel was part of the selling point for the Democrats that eventually ended up supporting the JCPOA. So it's not that it didn't come with a headache for our party to contend with. It came with this blanket check to Israel that has
3.8 a year,
3.8 annually, that has allowed for us to be complacent in genocide, that has allowed for us to be dragged into war with Iran, that has allowed for the capitulation of some of these Middle Eastern countries with Israel. So yes, there was a good thing that came from it for a little bit, and eventually it led to the devastation we're watching right now. But it also was, something that allowed for the genocide in Gaza, and guaranteed them this impunity, the impunity that we provide to Israel forever.
So let's talk about that, because AOC recently came out after having a conversation with New York DSA and said that she's now in favor of no aid or no financial aid to Israeli weapons purchases. This has now officially become the new litmus test for a lot of rising stars in the party that want to prove their progressive bona fides. And one, why do you think the offensive defensive restriction, in your own words, is inconsequential, or why do you not make a difference between the two? And then two, do you feel like this gives us an opportunity to push for even more?
Yeah, for me, I've always looked at it as military support on behalf of the American taxpayer is military support on behalf of the American taxpayer. To me, whether I give you weapons to defend yourself or weapons to kill, that might allow you to commit a genocide, that might give you an impunity throughout the genocide that you chose to carry out. To me, that's the same. And it never really made any sense to me where somebody could say, I'm okay in not giving you money to carry out a war, but I'm okay with providing the immunity, which is what the defense funding allows, for you to carry out your war of choice, because you don't have to worry about anything ever happening to you. You can carry out a war without any consequences to yourself or to your people.
Yeah.
And that's what essentially the argument that somebody's making, that they're okay for Israel to kill people, innocent people, but they're not okay with anybody reciprocating or there being any consequences.
Defense spending is also fungible. At the end of the day, every dollar that they're not spending on Tamir interceptors, they can spend on offensive weaponry. That's number one. And number two, as you also correctly pointed to, there's a level of impunity that allows Israel to be so unrestrained when they know that they have unlimited defense from the United States of America, not only with the amount of money that we spend on the MOU, but also on top of that, we have directed assets to the region, even in the 12-day war and obviously in the last 40 days as well in Operation Epstein's Fury. So, it's unlimited billions of dollars that we are wasting away. Tens of billions of dollars worth of assets have been destroyed in the region. And
we have dead American soldiers.
Yeah, and we've
that
dead
are coming
American
back
soldiers.
in caskets. Their families are going to be devastated for the rest of their lives.
And all of that because Donald Trump was the only president dumb enough to get goaded into taking action and follow through on Benjamin Netanyahu's agenda that he's been very open about for 40 years. I mean, he openly admitted this is what I wanted for 40 years.
Yeah.
And Trump did it. I'm so eternally grateful. It's obviously pointless.
Well, Netanyahu, I think, counted he bet on at least finding one or two dumb people who would become president of the United States that he could get them to go to war for him.
Yeah.
One was Bush that took us to Iraq. And then now it's Trump that took us to Iran.
Also, I just want to interrupt this broadcast for a brief moment to show that the Artemis launch is officially, they're pulling out the astronauts. This was a $2 billion endeavor and therefore deeply anti-Semitic because that's $2 billion that could have been sent to the nation state of Israel. And therefore, don't laugh, Congresswoman. And therefore I disagree with a waste of money to go to the moon and back.
It's probably a really great way to spend money. Hopefully they discovered a lot of really cool things.
Getting closer
I'm
now.
in support.
Yeah. No, me too.
Again, that one that's right up against Orion, those are the
They're not pulling them
divers that
out
will
just
go
yet. They're going to tow them into an aircraft carrier.
to
Oh,
check
damn.
on each of
Okay,
the
never mind. The nerds in the chat are correcting me. They're
These
not
other
pulling them out of
boats
the...
will begin doing a number
They're not
of
pulling them
things,
out yet.
Putting on that stabilization collar onto Orion.
Okay, never mind.
What are they doing? What are they saying?
I
don't even know how you read this.
What, the chat?
Yeah.
I'm used to it.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a skill, definitely.
Okay, I'm about to have an aneurysm. I can't look at it.
Don't look at the chat. It's not good anyway. It's absolutely not good. But let's go NASA. So where were we? What was I talking about before Artemis? I forgot. No.
Oh, the $3.8 billion that we.
Oh yeah, we're talking about the MOU.
Sent,
So yeah, it's I don't think it's a distinction. But what do you make of this becoming the new litmus test? And now you have even J Street as of today coming out in favor of congresspersons that they back, openly stating that they don't make a distinction between defensive and offensive weapons in terms of aid as well. What do you think that says? Is it just a reflection of how much the environment has shifted and it's J Street trying to find a more manageable way to continue defending Israel? Or is it something else?
Yeah, I mean, I do believe, obviously, a lot has changed since the genocide in Gaza. Support for Israel, essentially doesn't really exist, especially within the Democratic base. So it makes sense that if you are running for a political position, whether it's Congress or for the presidency, and you're a Democrat and you might find yourself in a competitive Democratic primary, that's going to be at least where people start the conversation. Our relationship with Israel is part of that conversation, whether you are okay in continuing to give this $3.8 billion annually to Israel or not. That's going to be part of the conversation. I believe we should also go further and say, yes, are you committed to ending the impunity that we provide to Israel internationally? Because accountability will never come to Israel as long as the United States has that veto power to stop them from, being held accountable. As long as we are sanctioning people at the ICJ and the ICC who want to prosecute Israel for its crimes, Israel will continue to commit international crimes.
Yeah.
And so I do believe we should also be pushing people to say, this is not okay. And I am no longer going to allow our country to be used to shield a country that constantly commits international crimes and constantly kills civilians without any accountability and with the impunity that they have.
Yeah. This conversation is actually more important than ever before because there's a 10-point ceasefire plan that the Iranian side
believes in.
Just sent to the Americans. And right now there's a conversation taking place in Islamabad and Pakistan. We have reporting from the Financial Times and numerous other outlets that show that America was the one who actually really pushed for the ceasefire, considering that they were they failed to achieve any of their military objectives, even though Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth kept claiming over and over again their Navy is destroyed. Their launching capabilities have been significantly attrited. None of that was true, obviously, and they still control the Strait of Hormuz. One of the key provisions in that deal was a demand for a ceasefire in Lebanon. Well, the Iranian side actually said the entire axis of resistance, which would include Gaza as well. However, in the immediate aftermath of that, there was additional reporting that came out that Benjamin Netanyahu actually called Donald Trump personally and said, no, we're not stopping bombing Lebanon. And Donald Trump simply said, keep it low key, which is so indecent and so ridiculous. But Benjamin Netanyahu objectively did not keep it low key. He killed 300 plus Lebanese civilians in a matter of 10 minutes. One of the most heinous war crimes.
They were very proud of it.
And openly talking about how they had a right to do it as well. And this was done, by my estimations, specifically to destroy this ceasefire process, which Israel does not want. They've made it very clear. They were very frustrated. Israel was not even let in on the fact that there was a ceasefire deal that was imminent, at least according to what they were saying. This shows that Donald Trump has to restrain Israel. Otherwise, there is no real negotiation at all.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing that when you say that, I think of is the fact that Israel is historically known for breaking ceasefires.
Yeah. You cease, we fire.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
And so I'm not surprised. And obviously the administration shouldn't be surprised. It is hard to believe when you have the president's son-in-law and his golfing buddy that they would have any serious conversation in restraining Israel, in holding them accountable, in prioritizing what might be beneficial for the American people that Israel might object to. To me, I see those negotiations and I see them prioritizing what Netanyahu might be interested in instead of prioritizing what might be in the best interest of Americans and our assets that are in the region.
Yeah, Murtaza Hussein report on this. There's a term in the Mossad for people who are not like directly affiliated with the state of Israel, but are helpers. And the way that they're referencing Witkoff and Kushner inside of Israel now and inside of the Israeli government is as helpers, sympathetic figures that are not exactly are not exactly placing the priorities of even saving face for America at this point ahead of what the larger Israeli goal is here.
Yeah.
So my question, I guess, is one, where do you see us going from here? And will J.D. Vance be the brilliant diplomat who will bring about a ceasefire, a complete cessation of hostilities? And what could Congress do to limit the powers of this administration?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think JD is going to be successful, and whatever success he claims is most likely not his. It is not surprising that the president agreed to this 10-point deal that the Iranians submitted after they rejected, right, the 10-point deal that we'd offered to them. And that 10-point deal that he accepted was one that was already on the table 2 weeks prior to when it was accepted. And so I can just see them probably accepting something exactly like what we have right now, and then doing what they've been doing and say the Strait of Hormuz is open or will soon be open, even though it still remains closed. And the Iranians are now charging any vessel that comes through $2 million that they weren't charging before. I can see, as soon as he announces some sort of plan or a deal, Netanyahu going on TV and saying he knows nothing about it and there's not going to be anything that stops them, which he is accustomed to doing. He did that to Blinken every single time Blinken went, and try to beg them to agree to some deal. So I can see the United States continuing to get humiliated. I can see, Netanyahu continuing to lose it, and I believe we will find ourselves in the same position in a few months.
How do you feel about
and what can Congress do? Obviously, we are been pushing for a war powers resolution. Mm-hmm. We weren't able to get it done before Congress went on its recess for us to go to our districts.
Do you feel like that was deliberate? Like the timing of that was rather strange.
No, it was deliberate, but not in the way that you think. We were short members. We had a member whose father passed away, who couldn't be available to take a vote. We had another member whose wife was having a surgery. Life happens, right? Obviously, we're members of Congress, but we also have families. We also have lives that, sometimes that emergency things happen. And so we were short just on the Dem side 4 members, I believe. And I do believe that when we get there next week or Tuesday, that hopefully all of these members are able to come back and that we're able to get, I expect probably 1 or 2 on the Republican side that might be ready to say, yes, we have to check the power that the president thinks he has, and we have to reclaim our congressional power.
Okay. How would you rate the current the current statements coming from the leadership of the party, and just like some of the presidential hopefuls even, as far as how they've communicated thus far? Because one of the things I saw from, for example, Chris Murphy was this attitude about how Donald Trump had failed on all fronts, which is true.
Yeah.
But it almost came across as though he was agitating for more war rather than like using the diplomatic route as the alternative to what Donald Trump was doing. It almost felt like there was a demand for more war and more destruction to continue fighting in Iran. Mm-hmm. What do you feel like the Democrats are sufficiently criticizing the Trump administration on its war with Iran?
I don't, because this has to be a war that you oppose on principle, not on the logistics of the way that it's carried out, or whether it is too soon, whether you don't have enough information. The principle should be we shouldn't start a war with another country.
Yes.
And we haven't been attacked. There's no bombs that have dropped on U.S. soil. None of our allies have been attacked by Iran. There isn't an actual threat that Iran has posed that is imminent. And so the idea that we can go to this war, and then you would have Democrats who are supposed to be on the opposition litigating on the tactics of the war. And instead of just saying this is wrong, it is morally wrong, this is a choice of war, that we had no business being in this war. We have no business in spending the billions of dollars we've spent on this war. There is no business in us subjecting our service members to the level of danger we have subjected them to. And there is no business in having Americans die on a war that wasn't necessary or morally just.
Yeah, it's the process argument.
Yeah, it's
the
disgusting.
Argument that is most commonly utilized by people who want to make it seem like they are against the actions, but are understanding of the overall goals.
Yeah.
This is one of the things that I've found to be very frustrating with the way that a lot of electeds communicate on this issue. They did this with Venezuela as well, where they'll say, "Oh, well, Maduro's a brutal tyrant. I just didn't like the way that Donald Trump kidnapped him." But that's the whole point. Like, Donald Trump is the guy who breaks things, but he gets the job done. So if you're agreeing with the fact that like his overall goal was correct in that instance, then you're not actually sufficiently countering the things that Trump is doing. That you don't really have a disagreement at all. And the process argument seems the exact same. How much of that is because, by your estimation, how much of that is because they truly agree with going to war with Iran, and then but also are happy that it was Trump that did it, so that now they have now they know that they don't have to be anchored by that decision. Now it's not around their neck. It's something that they can tie to the Trump administration to win out marginal electoral victories. And how much of that is actually because they are genuinely afraid of coming across like they're not war hawks, because they think this will look like the vote to refuse to go to war with Afghanistan?
I mean, I think the latter, right? There is a huge part of the DC Beltway that is constantly putting the dove and the hawk against one another, right? Which one are you? And I believe that gets rid of any sort of moral clarity or principle, or just even the articulation of an ideology that looks at the way we should interact with the rest of the world. And that's why you get reactions that are almost always not that far from the thing that they are trying to condemn, right? It's almost like, I condone, but I just condemn the way in which you did it, right? I condone, but I condemn the way in which you've stated that sentence.
Yeah.
And I do think that a lot of these people in Washington, D.C. don't spend a lot of time thinking about these issues. There isn't a huge debate on where people's moral center is when it comes to national security, or when it comes to international affairs or foreign policy. It's often like, okay, here's the starting point. Who's saying this and who's doing this? And then how can I squeeze myself somewhere in between? We have this concept of the sandwich. It's like a political speak in Washington. That's what a lot of the consultants will say to you. And it's like where you start with saying like, I survived war, and like something about the actual like policy that you want to grab, and then say, I don't really want to see these things, but sometimes bad things happen. Right? Like, so it's just like you didn't really say anything. But that's the safe way in which these people try to tell people to speak, because no one really wants to ever be on the full record. And that's why, like, oftentimes when Trump just says the thing that is on his mind, people are just like, oh, you're not supposed to speak like that. You're not supposed to do
Yeah.
that. Like, to me, it's not the way he's speaking. To me, it's the problem in what he is saying.
Yeah.
It's not taking offense in what, awful language he uses, but it's taking offense in this ideology that he's expressing, in this policy view that he's expressing, in the way in which he sees the world and how he wants America to function when it comes to other people.
Yeah. And what you just identified about Trump's speech patterns and the way he communicates, I think, is precisely the reason why a lot of Americans find him to be genuine. Because there is an honesty in the way he talks, even if he is objectively being dishonest in most of those circumstances. There is a directness to his speech. It's much more deliberate. And I think the way that a lot of politicians communicate, especially those who've been around DC for quite a while, they come across as inauthentic. And I've been trying to get this across to as many Democrats as I possibly can, to stand on their moral convictions and to be bold and to be brave in an effort to change the way that people perceive the broader National Democratic Party. However, I don't think I've seen many electeds do that, with the exception of obviously yourself, Rashida Tlaib, and some others. Is there any way to get Democrats to change this? Because instead of listening to that, or instead of even like clearly communicating their anger and resentment, clearly communicating the resentment that the voters feel, not just Democrats either, but independents and even some Republicans as well. Democrats, or at least some Democrats, have spent the last couple of weeks yelling about me instead. And there's this weird allegiance.
Priorities.
Yeah, there's this weird allegiance that's taking shape right now in front of our eyes that I find very fascinating, where it's the RNC and it's the Republican Party coming up with clips that they can materialize, that they can like push out through like New York Post and all these other like right-wing dish rags. And then, Jewish Insider and the ADL and, Third Way and all these other, No Labels, another one, will then take that message to more pliant Democrats that are centrist Democrats or backed by certain corporations or have these same big donors, and they will get these Democrats to basically say whatever these groups want them to say. Why do you think that's happening? Do you think it's because there's a massive sea change and they refuse to reckon with that and instead want to distract people away from that? Or is this a way to like potentially bully the base without actually calling out their own voters, by identifying someone that they perceive to be vulgar enough to be able to attack? What do you think is going on there?
I mean, one, they all have the same donor base.
Yeah.
Right. And so, the people that they're spending most of their time, in their breakfast meetings or their receptions, like these are the same people, whether it's, these reporters that you're talking about and the orgs that like fund their reporting or whoever owns them, to the people who are funding Third Way or, the Democratic establishment, are the same as who funds the Republican establishment. A lot of them have, similar donors. But I would also say that, you have a big name. And so for a lot of these people, it's a clickbait. I joke sometimes that the New York Post has a quota of the number of articles they have to write on me in order for there to be enough clicks for them to generate the resources that they need, because there's no other way to explain writing the same, stuff that's just like over and over and over again. Yeah. And so, shit like that. They're like, these are all the same kind of people, and that they will always go after the few that are on the left, who have enough of a following that they can try to take down, or those that don't care. I mean, I think like there's people who will try to explain or capitulate and do all kinds of stuff. And then there's, the people who are like you and I, and it's like, okay, keep writing your garbage. I'm who I am, and I don't really care.
So that's what I was going to say. So Congressman Randy Fine,
oh God,
the most repulsive figure in American politics, in a long list of repulsive monsters, let's be real.
Yeah.
Probably takes the cake. He
disgusting,
said foreigners should not be able to serve in Congress. That's why I've introduced the disqualifying dual loyalty act. If you're a citizen of another country, you shouldn't serve. This one, get out. Randy Fine, of course, has.
I wonder if he had an opinion when we had a man show up who chairs the Foreign Affairs Committee in an IDF uniform.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say.
Or if what he thinks we should think about the fact that he has Israeli flag in his office,
which is
inside and outside of his office.
Which is why I said, buddy, you're getting deported to Israel.
Right.
As a joke, of course. And then Laura Loomer got really upset and said, no, he's not, because he's a U.S. citizen, dummy. But it didn't end there.
Yeah, I mean, true. We all are U.S. citizens.
Yeah, he
dummy.
also basically started crying, saying, I was born in the United States. My parents were born in the United States. So the thing that I want to get across to Democrats that pay attention to this sort of stuff is that when you actually use even a fraction of the cruelty back at these people that are not only communicating in an incredibly cruel manner, but also advancing incredibly toxic policies, incredibly violent policies, trafficking in horrifying amounts of racist vitriol, they start crying. They immediately start crying. They get on the defense. And I wish that more Democrats would be maybe not as aggressive as I am, but more bold in terms of retaliating against some of these monsters, because like it demonstrably works.
Yeah.
I said, look how quickly these demonic racist Republicans cry. When you retaliate with a fraction of the cruelty they spit out on a daily basis. This is why I'll always prefer a vulgar person who fights these monsters than someone who'll be civil with them. And he immediately replied. He has notifications on for me, apparently, calling me a jihadist. And then I said, you're jihadist against stairs and sleep apnea, you dumb bitch. And he said, deport. Don't laugh. Don't laugh. You're not allowed to laugh.
Sorry.
You're not allowed to laugh.
Oh, no.
But I think like...
No, he's probably one of the whiniest people I know. And he's obviously very repulsive. And it makes sense, like Loomer and him, these are people who got bullied. These are people who've led really sad lives. These are people who desperately want attention and to be liked. And it's sad that this is their way of getting the attention and admiration that they think they deserve.
In advance of to advance an ideology, like a repulsive, toxic ideology, because I think it goes beyond this, like trying to win favors with a bunch of losers. I think JD Vance does that more.
Yeah,
JD Vance is like so desperate to get the attention and admiration of groypers that he'll like sell his wife short.
Yeah,
like he'll be like, oh, I wish my Indian wife wasn't going to hell, but she is, and hopefully one day I can convert her to Christianity. Like those are the types of things that he says, which I think demonstrably make him look weak in the eyes of most people.
My hope is that his Indian wife, who should know how to put on an eyeliner, helps him figure out how to better apply his eyeliner. That's my only hope for his Indian wife.
Yeah.
A lot of us who culturally wear eyeliners could help.
Yeah. Here's the very same Randy Fine talking about Zohran Mamdani. Have you met Zohran?
I've met Zohran many times.
Do you like him?
I do.
Okay, good. All right, I'm just checking. Because if you didn't like him, I was gonna text him right now, and be like, it's over. You're done. You're done. I'm done with you.
No, he's sweet.
New Yorkers and Americans as a whole, when they tell you what
what is
why
this?
Why did they have his smile upside down?
Yeah, I just.
How do you take an offense to that man's smile? What is wrong with these people?
I mean, there's racism. I think they're just like so unbelievably racist.
they believe them. We're in this situation in New York because people said, oh, he really won't be that bad. Well, he's doing exactly what he told people that he would do. I believe Zoran Mamdani lied when he applied for citizenship. I think he was affiliated and supported groups you're not allowed to if you want to be a citizen of the United States. And I think he should be denaturalized and deported as a result.
I mean, this guy's obsessed with trying to denaturalize and deport people. Like that's like his number one
But
thing.
you know, the one thing that offends me the most is when you have lawmakers make demands like that on TV that they know or at least could find out whether what they are demanding or trying to legislate or even advocating for is constitutionally doable.
Yeah.
Like this man should know there is no way that they are denaturalizing and deporting Mamdani or me or any of the people that they're constantly telling their base they're going to do that. And it's so embarrassing that they say that. And what is even more embarrassing is that their base is not smart enough to know that they're being lied to.
Yeah. I mean, some of them I think are elated at the prospect of like having someone to bully, like a vulnerable population or marginalized community member to attack over and over again. It sometimes feels like they're desperate for a person to look down at rather than demand change that would improve their lives. Yeah. But
it's a pathetic way to live.
Yeah, astronauts are coming out. Okay, here we go. They're pulling out the astronauts. Is this a crew chat? I can't tell what they look like. Is this them? Shout out San Diego. What is this? Do you know about the pilot of Artemis being based? NASA Artemis 2 pilot Victor Glover listens to Whitey on the Moon every Monday.
This is
why.
Control Houston. Behind me, a fairly raucous scene as hundreds of flight controllers have poured into the flight control room.
No, they're about to pull them out.
This is reminiscent of the scene after the final shuttle mission of STS-135, although that was the end of a program. This is only the beginning of a program with the textbook splashdown of Integrity and its 4 astronauts. We're standing by for the crew to be extracted from the spacecraft. Entry Flight Director Rick Henfling invited all of these flight controllers who have contributed to this mission to enter the flight control room to have an opportunity to receive well wishes and to share the mutual glow that exists in the wake of a textbook mission for Integrity on the front screen here in Mission Control. A sign that says, welcome home Integrity, taking humanity back to the moon, going further, and returning safely to Earth. So all of that jubilation, part of the post-splashdown activities, even as we await the crew being extracted from the vehicle to be hoisted onto Navy helicopters for the trip back to the USS John P. Murtha.
Take this.
I think they have to like depressurize or something, like because they're in special suits and whatnot.
Oh, so that's why they're in the. Okay, I see.
So while we wait on that, there is something I have to show you.
Okay. And
I hope you don't get upset with me.
Oh no.
Okay. So I have a soundboard.
Okay.
And I have.
Somebody's already laughing.
Yes, stuff like this on my soundboard. But one of the sounds I use the most commonly.
Oh God.
Is this one.
May Allah awaken the people and help them to see the evil doings of Israel and the United States.
Have you ever seen? I'm sure you're familiar with this. You've heard this.
I've seen the video. Yeah.
You've seen the video. Okay.
Yeah, at his rallies.
Yes.
But was that the Lion King sound at the end?
No, it's a Dune.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Lisan Al Gaib sound.
Okay.
So I feel like this was a major fake controversy, manufactured outrage that took place many years ago. When Donald Trump would go on rallies and say that, and basically put your face up on the Megatron, on the big televisions. Basically putting a bounty out on your head.
And they chant like "send her back."
You have received a tremendous amount of racial animus, racial vitriol come your direction, and yet you were very resilient. You were very steadfast in your approach. It's one of the reasons why we love you and appreciate what you've done. Do you how do you feel now that this is the official majority position, not only in the base of the party, but just like the majority position in the United States of America? Did you ever think that we would get here?
No, I didn't think we would get here. And I don't know if I feel confident that we will stay here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I say that because I don't know if you remember in the 2020 presidential election, you had all of these people that pulled out of going to the AIPAC conference.
Yeah.
Do you remember this?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember like the articles would reference me. A lot of people would call me. There were like a lot of op-eds that were like, Ilhan should feel vindicated. AIPAC had targeted her this many years with all of these slurs, and she should be very happy that Democrat presidential hopefuls are doing this, and that was very short-lived. So my hope is that I celebrate after it actually materializes into something, and not take that victory lap until we actually see, that $3.8 billion to Israel be canceled, until we see, impunity at the United Nations and in the international courts, and until we see a presidential candidate or a president telling them, no, you cannot attack your neighbors. You cannot go to war whenever you want. You can't continue to kill innocent people. You can't rape prisoners. You can't put children in detention centers indefinitely. Until we get that kind of rhetoric or those kind of actions, I will continue to hold that line as one of the only people that actually believes that should be the litmus test.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I agree with you, by the way, obviously. I just look at the small victories in terms of like awareness moving in the direction of truth and justice, and the small victories of even like the new litmus test being no defensive weapons, like not a dime spent on defensive weapons either. Because I think that expands the permission structure quite a bit. And so I think that gives people like ourselves more room to openly communicate. Like one thing that I always used to think about was the change that happened in 2021. If you remember, in the month of April in 2021, Human Rights Watch, Amnesty International, B'Tselem, and all of the other international...
That's when we got the apartheid report.
Yeah, all of the other international organizations, humanitarian rights organizations, openly admitted that Israel was an apartheid state. Now, it already was long before then, as Nelson Mandela also pointed out way back when. However, that
and Desmond Tutu,
and exactly. But that gave more of a standing for a lot of anti-Zionists to be able to say, look, like, this is the truth, and now all of these other institutions are also saying it. And I think that was, slowly but surely, brick by brick, that was part of the reason why I think people started becoming more receptive to that message. And now the job is obviously not complete, but I would say that as far as like broad awareness initiatives goes, from this day forward, I don't see people's attitude towards Israel shifting in the positive direction ever again.
Yeah, but you still have a huge cohort of members of Congress that will capitulate
Yeah.
to the interests of Israel, to the protection of Israel, to labeling everybody who criticizes the government of Israel to being some sort of hateful person. It's interesting that you mentioned that report. When it came out, Rashida and I decided to go on the House floor and read it into the congressional record.
Mm-hmm.
And Rashida at the time didn't think anybody would join us. But we got about a dozen members who came. But that came with, them trying to censure Rashida.
Yeah.
And it came with them fighting to get me off the Foreign Affairs Committee. And, fortunately, Democrats didn't vote to kick me off the Foreign Affairs Committee. But, unfortunately, a lot of Democrats did vote to censure Rashida. And so that's why I say, the public has moved, but members of Congress on both parties have not fully moved.
Yeah.
And it will take, I think, a couple of cycles for the American people to say, I want people who represent our interest. I want people who will carry a principle of justice, of integrity, of honesty, and of accountability. And, until then, it's kind of like, yes, we still have a lot of work to do. We can't celebrate yet.
So you said couple of cycles. So that means that even if there was like a big sweep of anti-Zionist candidates, which, by the way, many of which I'm in support of all of them. They're currently being attacked
Right.
for affiliations with me even. And that's kind of what I wanted to get at, which is that there is definitely a battle brewing internally. Yeah. There's a battle brewing in American politics in general, but certainly within the ranks of the Democratic Party, where I think those who demonstrate the moral courage are being aggressively pursued and being cast aside in order to maintain this complete reversal of the 90-10 issue.
Yeah.
Because it's almost 10-90 on the elected side.
Yeah.
Where there's only a handful of representatives and senators. Oh yeah, that's true. Okay, this is the last thing I was going to say. There's only a handful of representatives and senators who actually do represent the moral center of American politics on this issue.
So the reason that it is a 90-10 with the American people and it is 10-90 with members of Congress, the politicians, the elected
because it's all about the Benjamins.
folks. Actually, it has more to do, yes, of course, it's always about money and who funds you and, where you get your resources. But it also has a lot to do with who's doing the reporting. It has a lot to do with who has the ability to make the issue that is a 90-10 a 10-90 issue. When you have a media apparatus, as you were just saying, use your support of Abdul in Michigan, who is an incredible candidate and would make an incredible senator with integrity. Make that a problem? Is that because everybody who is writing about it is in that 10-90 space, right? Because the big issue, the big controversy should be his opponent's records.
Yeah.
It should be, what his opponent said. It should be
or their
about
lack of interest in identifying some of these issues.
Yes, but it should be about how they're like in secret chats, right? Capitulating and saying, I don't want to publicly say anything, but after the election, I will do A, B, and C. That should be the problem. The problem shouldn't be the streamer who understands where the base is, who's coming from a place of integrity and honesty and supporting a candidate that really fits that 90-10 issue the exact way that it should. Because if we are to have a representative democracy, the people have to represent the interest of those that they are seeking to govern.
Yeah. Absolutely. But I do think that it's a very different environment. It's a very different media environment now with so many independent outlets, myself included. And also, perhaps even more importantly than that, at least from my experience, going all around the country, going to No Kings protests and going to Minneapolis and seeing the people there, seeing such a diverse group of individuals from all different walks of life resist against the Trump administration. It's made me believe that people do want change. The electability argument for the longest time, I think, for a lot of Democrats who vote in the primaries, the party loyalists, was around the notion that we have to pivot and we have to find the most electable Democrat. Who's the most electable Democrat? The most moderate Democrat. Who's the most electable Democrat? The one that actually finds like a reasonable center on this Israel problem, right? Instead of saying something that could be potentially considered controversial. I don't think they want that anymore. And I think Bernie Sanders, at least for the people that I talk to, a lot of, older, white, suburban, college-educated liberals over the age of 60 will openly and readily admit to me that they voted for Hillary Clinton, they hated Bernie Sanders, they voted for Kamala Harris, they voted for Joe Biden, they were excited about Joe Biden, they hated Bernie Sanders again. But after the second defeat against Donald Trump, they realized perhaps they were lied to about the electability argument, and perhaps Bernie Sanders was a far more electable candidate. So I think that is going to reflect that's going to be apparent in the primaries, even though obviously this is a tough battle regardless, because of tens of millions of dollars of big donors that will do everything they can to attack left flank candidates. But I think we do have a real opportunity to make some significant changes and build a real left caucus in the party and hopefully maybe even bully some other Democrats into coming on board with positions that they previously would never have the moral courage to openly fight for.
Yeah. I mean, I think the American people will elect anybody that showed up. I think if we were to learn anything from Trump being elected as president, is that there is no such thing as who is electable. It's about who will show up, talk to the American people and gain their support. And so, let's go.
All right. Ilhan Omar, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
What do you want to shout out, promote, anything? How can we help you?
Well, I'm up for re-election, obviously. So, you could go to my handles on social media and, donate, support in any way, uplift.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll be there. I'll do a rally for you if you want.
I would love that.
You get
I
a
would
lot
love
of media
that.
coverage. It'll be like the dangerous.
I mean, I represent one of the youngest districts in Congress, and they would love you. So.
Oh yeah, no, I've been in your district.
Yeah.
They're definitely fans. Lots of HasanAbi has there.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much for coming on.
Of course.
All right, and ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to end the broadcast here because I have to go do something. I'm doing a panel on the Voice of Hindu Rajab that's being shown in Los Angeles. So that's what I'm going to go do. And hold on, let me play the outro. But I'll see you tomorrow as always. Once again, thank you, Ilhan Omar, so much for all your work and also for coming on the broadcast. This is a real honor to have you here. And bye, everybody. Bye-bye.